Look at it. Would you just look at it?
It's amazing. This is the YouTube yacht. It is a boat-themed and shaped rental cabin we are in the process of building. Today's video is an exciting video
On this spiral staircase. We got the jig rigged up last video, the foot plate rigged up, the top secured where it needs to be, and today we're welding. We got a few odds and ends to do first. Step one, we've got to get our 220 power hooked up and rigged up so we can run the welder. This is the type of plug we're going with. Main reason being, I already own that extension cord. Just popping off. Oh, there we go. I did forget to pick up a breaker. It came with a double 30. I don't know if we're gonna trip that or not. That may not work, but we will try. We're just throwing a box in randomly. This is all temporary. It's all gonna come down. I also forgot to get the right connectors to go from the panel into the box, so we're just rigging it. If this had power full time, 100%, I would be concerned about it, but it only has power when I'm here running the generator, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, they ought to get a Sparky fired up somewhere for sure. Not here though. So 110, the way it works, if you don't know, you got power coming in, power coming in. So we got 110 coming in on one side, and a single breaker just clips into one side. Then when you bring in the other 110, to get to 220, you got to use both sides. So a double breaker clips in to that bar and that bar. That's how we get our 220. We'll just slap this outlet in here real fancy like setups. So, and twist. There we go. So now we need to do this into the operation. I'd lied to you a little bit. I did have to buy another extension cord, but just one extension cord versus buying this and a whole nother one for the different outlet style. Anyway, these are on sale. I think Menards just bought a whole bunch of these whenever we had the ice storm come through, the generator cords, and there's a whole bunch of them on sale now. Go figure. Generators are probably cheaper as well now that people don't need them. This is the current 110 setup. We're going to switch it over to 220. The good thing, when this is all said and done, all I got to do is buy a new end for that cord and just put an end on it, and we'll be good to go. We're doing real good with our tank securement today, you know? It's just... Make sure my super fancy Amazon regulator fits on there. Do you want to be a welder? Yes. Yes, welder. Okay. Somebody said, how do you work in all this clutter? Big steps. Big steps is the answer. We'll have to fine tune this here in a second because that's not stable, fits the theme of the project. But all the connections work. That's what I wanted to check out real quick. Next step, we got the DeWalt SDS. We got to drill some holes for the anchors. I'm just marking the holes with a 1/2-inch bit because that's what fits through the holes, but then we're going to have to slide the post to the side and run a 5/8. With the holes drilled, obviously, we're set up where we need to be so we can move this around however we need to move it around. Somebody said, I hope the concrete's thick enough. It is. We poured a footer underneath here whenever we did the floor. I need the air compressor to get those holes cleaned out. then a wire brush on a drill to clean those out, and then we'll blow them out one more time. Go ahead and get our bolts set up. Using Redhead concrete adhesive, high strength, fast cure. It only takes just a few minutes for us to get to working strength. Make sure we got a good gray mix. That actually looks pretty good right off the rip. Just give it a little twist as we put it in the hole. Won't take but just a few minutes, and that can set up, and we can snug those down if we need to, but honestly, them just pinned like that, so the bottom doesn't kick out. Pretty low chance of this thing just taking off like a rocket. So the next step, because we're starting at the top and working our way down, and even if we worked from the bottom up, I'd probably still do the same thing, but I want to get this hole covered up so we can set a ladder up on that. Thinking just some of that 3/4 ply, we'll move some of this stuff around, maybe like 1, 2, 3 sheets type of thing. On sketchier ladders. We do have a slight element of safety. We call these pecans. It's technically a water extinguisher. 2.5 gallons, 100 psi of pressure. You just put the water in it, you top her off with the air pressure, and you spray. You'd be surprised the amount of fire you could put out with just 2.5 gallons. They're pretty dang handy. Put whatever you want in there. You could put water with soap if you want a little surfactant, diesel fuel. Since we've got a lot of wood and we're welding, thought it might be a good thing to have. I got this weird thing here. I honestly don't know what the heck it's for, but it comes in handy, like poking this cord up through here. So we keep it around. Maybe one day I'll figure out what it's actually for. But for now, we'll just shove it back down there. That's where it belongs. Let's flip this. Okay. I need to switch over from this flux core wire to some solid wire. And then we'll put what Lincoln says is the right tip for their wire in here. This welder's supposed to be able to take a bigger spool, so that's what we're trying. Oh, there we go. So I got a scrap piece of steel laying here. It's the same steel we're using. It's one of the demo pieces they cut out. It just happened to be backwards, but still got the picture done. And I've never ran gas on this, so I'm just gonna run some beads, mess with my settings, and try to get her dialed in. I only had a couple hours today, but tomorrow I got the whole day. If we can get this thing dialed in this afternoon, then hopefully we can get these treads ran tomorrow, at least half of them. Hate it. I'd like it to be just a touch hotter. That's what we're looking like. A little hotter wouldn't hurt my feelings though, you know? Just want to make sure we're getting really good penetration on this. Alright, this is going to simulate our pipe. That's going to be hot, Mike. And that's what we're looking like. One last thing we can do to make sure I got it how I want it and we're getting enough penetration, we can cut it.
I don't think I have to explain to anybody, but it's really important that these hold because, you know, stairs. Let's cut myself a little section off. What I want to do, I'm going to take this cold chisel and try to split those two, because we should be able to split it, obviously. There's the seam of where one metal stacked on top of the other, but I want to split it, and I want to see how she breaks where she's attached there. Doesn't look like very good penetration. Barely any at all. Not good. So, we have to adjust the settings some to make sure we get this right. Not good at all. I got her figured out. We got her going hot now. So here's after I changed the setting, that one in the middle. You see the difference there? We're definitely getting good penetration. I forgot, whenever I set up on the flux core, I had these reversed because that's the way the manual said to do it. But when we switched to gas, we need to flop them around. So I did that, and we are getting plenty of penetration now. In fact, maybe too much. So I'm gonna dial it in just a little bit more, and we'll test it. But you can see how cold those look? You can see how that's just sitting on top like a little caterpillar. And then you can see when we get some real heat, now we're getting into it. And that's a little too much. We're kind of getting some burn through. 7 o'clock the following morning. I got all day today. I got to bounce back and forth between cooking the syrup and welding this, but so I need to take into account the fact we're going to have some type of flooring up here. So we're just going to set this for a little bit of elevation. I've got this jig set for the exact rise that I need every time. We've got shims here, so if I'm just a little out of level, I can throw a couple underneath my tread. I can get her perfect on the bubble. Then we can just set this here, and I can shimmy my jig down the pole until that touches, and I know my spacing is right. Give it a snug. I need you guys to tell me if something's on fire, because when you're under the hood, you don't know until it's really hot. All I gotta do is pop it. Maybe. Oh, is my ratchet strap broken? Oh no. Oh shoot, it is. There we go. Then we can just drop it. Rotate it out of the way. And it just hangs out there. How about that, huh? Make sure we're not on fire down here. Looks okay. It's hard with the light, but here's what we're looking like. I'm pretty happy with them. We should be ready for the next step. Put the jig over there. Grab my stair. Set it on there. Just like so. Beautiful. Right there. So I got my jig, I'm using the jig. I'm also just good old-fashioned tape measure. Stuck on. Oh, go figure. Would you look at this? Somebody's got flex tape all over this dang post. I just noticed something. So I had these treads made at a local machine shop, and you look right here and you tell me if you can spot the problem. I hung on this one, and I came up here and said, why is that one deflected down? There should be plenty of strength in this for that to not deflect down on me. Then I looked at it a little closer. One of these is not like the other. That's wrong. I mean, I guess I should have caught it before I welded it up there, but I didn't even think to look, to be honest. So I guess I'm gonna go get some batteries and the grinder, and we're gonna have to cut that one out and re-weld it, I suppose. With a little better, with a little better lighting, can you see the difference? This should be that height on that end. Well, I just stayed out away from the pipe, and now we just got a lot of grinder work. All right, we got her all fixed up like it never happened. Except it did, and it's an hour and a half later. That's okay though, they'll make it right. New step in the process, making sure both sides are correct. And they are. There's 4 of them in. Looking pretty cool. Won't be too much longer, we'll just be walking right up that thing. Here's where we're at now. Check this out. Looking very nice. Pretty cool. I've got, I think 1, 2, maybe a third one. I don't know. I got a few more I got to put on here. And check this out. Watch this. Look at this magic thing that you can do. Now, it does spin, so we got to be kind of careful. It does spin. But anyway, up the stairs you can go, except for this weird ceiling somebody's installed. But that's pretty cool. And very comfortable. Yeah, I like it. I mean, that's... feels good. It's kind of hard to test it going down because I can't really go very high. That is so good. So I watched dozens of videos on how to make spiral staircases. I went and found spiral staircases in the public, and just as an embarrassment to the Admiral, would just continually go up and down them and try to figure out what I did and didn't like about them. Took everything I learned and put it into this staircase. I think it's worth it. So the biggest thing that I love about this is how we just went quarter pipe versus the whole diameter of the pipe. I've seen a lot of people build staircases, including one very famous YouTuber who people said, you should watch his video, Mike. I did. They come all the way around like that, which in theory gives you a bigger foot plate, but look at where that edge is down below. You're almost directly overlap that other stair, and you lose any usable tread in this inside section, which isn't that big of a deal going up, but it's a pretty big deal coming down. That's when spiral staircases can be awkward. So whenever you come down, you can actually take your foot straight down onto here, whereas if you did this, you have that much extra blocking access to the step below. This makes me happy. A concept come to reality. How neat. Should point out, I did make one mistake. We're gonna have to cut one weld out and redo it, just a short section of it. I knelt down on my airline and I was like, man, this thing's welding terrible. And you can see we had no shielding gas right through here. So we're gonna cut this weld from here to here out and then redo it. But everything else has been going pretty decent. I don't have any complaints about the way that welder is running or the way the welds are getting in. Everything seems to be penetrating well.
little jig I made to do the height, I ended up not liking it. I'll use it on one step. I ended up just going with the trusty tape measure. Just gotta listen to the orcas for a second, it's not too bad. On. We've been having to run shims on all of them, which isn't surprising. Shut up. Too much? Too much. Looks good that way. Make sure she's tight on the pole. She looks good that way. It's also important to note that if I relied solely on the tape measure, even if I was just a 1/16 off, that's going to add up pretty quick. That's going to compound as we work our way down. It's kind of hard to see, but there are marks on this post that I made that show where that elevation is. So we get that measurement right, so our riser is consistent, and then we verify that we're still on the same mark as that. A little checks and balance system, and so far it's played out pretty daggone well. Because if one's wrong and one's right, then we've got something going on we'd have to investigate. So I got this comment once, and I thought, well, okay, no big deal. Then I got this comment multiple times, and I thought, well, that's wild, and I wanted to talk about it. Some people said I should start at the bottom so that my short step ends up at the top. Wild, crazy. What do you mean? What do you mean? Short step? No. Okay, here's the thing. There should not be a short step. Every measurement should be absolutely identical. In fact, there's building code that specifies that. There's a plus or minus tolerance and the difference you're allowed to have between tread height on a set of stairs. So you can't have a short step. One guy made the comment, and I thought, well, there's one wild fella, you know? But then multiple people made the comment, and I'm concerned about what's going on in the stair world because it sounds crazy to me. But we're not doing that. Also, you can start at the top or the bottom. Doesn't matter your spacing, and I will show you a very scientific experiment here in just a second that illustrates just that. We just laid her in super thick, doesn't look too bad, and made sure to go well past my cut. So we don't have any issues there. So now we got to rotate this whole thing and then stitch the base plate so we get this thing exactly where we want it. And I want this whole corner to be the main floor landing, which means that needs to go all the way over to here. And that works out perfect for what I envisioned up top. I'll show you that when we get there. I think we can just, I don't think it's going to take a lot of effort. Right there. That's it. It is awesome. It's just fantastic. The first step to go down will go right here. So I have that whole corner, which is be cool. It'll feel very open, and I like that. And then that landing will be pretty much that whole section up there. Just that whole side, which is also cool because it makes that room feel bigger. And then in my head, which is wild, but it's a small building, we all know that. If you have to go out and then around to get to that room, I feel like it feels bigger because you got a longer journey. Maybe I'm just crazy. That's certainly a possibility as well. So I've got two marks here, there and there. They're 7 7/8. As far as the theory of whether you have to start at the top or the bottom to get your measurement and spacing right, if I measure top down, that's 7 7/8. Seven 7/8? What? The measurement doesn't change. Starting top or bottom is simply dealer's choice. I chose starting at the top. One, because of the jig style I made, it's easier to just slide that down versus pulling it out and pushing it up every time.
just rotate her around to where we need her. And two, for me, it feels like it's easier to weld because I've got this whole area out here. Imagine these two steps on here. I got the whole area out here to get all the welds I need to do. If I start from the bottom, then I've got to perch myself on each step as I weld, and I feel like that'd be kind of cumbersome. Also, it'd be a little awkward if the bottom step's already there and my gun is down here and we got these steps to contend with. Top down gives me all this space down below wide open to do the work I need to do. But that's totally dealer's choice. I mean, it's gonna work out either way as long as your measurements are right. Listen, the first step is a doozy, okay? Gotta really watch her. But, right on it. Super comfortable. And then as we come back down, see how that edge is exposed? See how you have all that space? Now imagine if that step ran from there across over there instead of doing the quarter like we did. It just feels so comfortable. Lights. This is fantastic. I'm believing you on this one. I'm working on this the rest of the day, but this is a good stopping point for the video. Next video, right back on this, hopefully finished and doing maybe a little concrete repair for the hole we had to make to get the pipe in. Oh my gosh. Short step? You guys are wild.